South Carolina and Vanderbilt get set to do battle under the lights. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this game between the Gamecocks and the Commodores. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole Thompson. We appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. And as always, we are powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. South Carolina and Vanderbilt will do battle on Saturday night in Columbia as the Gamecocks look to extend their streak and get their 17th win over Anchor Down in a row. But Diego Pavia mentioned over the offseason he had this game circled coming in. The spread continues to tumble. What does it all mean? We're going to discuss it as we preview, predict, break down this game. Gamecocks, Commodores on a Saturday night in Columbia, South Carolina. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my good friend, my partner in crime, and the believer in Baba Yaga himself, Cole the Bear Thompson. Bear, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. Probably a little more excited to talk about this one than I thought I was going to be a few weeks ago. But, hey, when you have two teams with a common opponent, one looks the way they did, the other looks the way they did. Both got the W, but this one all of a sudden, really, really, really interesting, and maybe, Bear, the most underrated game of the Week 3 slate.
I don't want to talk about this game.
You're kind of conflicted here.
This
You're pretty conflicted right here.
This is a hard one for me. It's the War Chickens versus the Land Admirals. I got Baba Yaga as my believer, but I got money on the quarterback out in Columbia to win the Heisman Trophy. I got one team fighting for a college football playoff bid. I got another team that has won me over for the way that they play football and the way that they carry themselves. And I have evidence that says one team is better on paper, but one team has executed so much more finessely against a common opponent on the road in their backyard and decimated a Virginia Tech team. So this is very hard for me, but I'll tell you what isn't hard. Talking about a game that has massive implications on the rest of the college football season, the rest of the SEC season, and more importantly, a game that didn't carry a lot of weight going into the year, but certainly will be one of the most underrated matchups this season in 2025. That is why we talk about college football. That is why we love these type of matchups. And I can tell you what, the winner of this game is going to have not just bragging rights, but they're going to have a spot in the college football playoff on their mind. And let's be real, the way that they look, they may get there.
Both these teams, Bear, of course, sitting at 2-0. Like we mentioned, both have a common opponent as both beat Virginia Tech. South Carolina doing it in Atlanta in week 1. Virginia Tech doing it last weekend in Blacksburg. Like you said, a little bit different ways to get there. Vandy really put belt to ass in Blacksburg. South Carolina relying on defense, special teams. But either way, both won the football game. Otherwise, they both played, let's just call it for what it is, inferior opponent. South Carolina beating up on South Carolina State in a game that kind of sloppy, got started late. What do you really take from it? Vandy, of course, in their season opener beating Charleston Southern. But it sets up for this one, a pair of 2-0 teams. Saturday, September the 13th, Bears, 6:45 Central Time kick. That's a 7:45 local time kickoff down there in Columbia. So the locals are going to have all day to get ready, to tailgate, and to have some fun. This game being televised on SEC Network, again played down in Columbia, South Carolina at Williams-Brice Stadium. Bear, the Gamecocks are a 5.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 47.5. Interestingly enough, Bear, this is a spread that has come down. I believe South Carolina opened up right around a touchdown favorite. The money is coming in on the doors. Do with that information what you will. The series history, Bear, I know you were kind of surprised by this, if you will, but South Carolina has dominated this series. They lead the all-time series 30-4, including winners of 16 straight in the series. Vanderbilt's last win in this series, Bear, it came all the way back in 2008 against the Gamecocks. Think about how long ago that was, where you were, what you were doing. Absolutely crazy. Their last win at Williams-Brice Stadium came all the way back in 2007, Bear. So, been quite a long time, and I believe that was, I think maybe that was still the Jay Cutler days. I know Earl Bennett was still playing for Vandy at that time, like quite a while ago. Either way, they'll look to break that streak. Last minute, of course, came last year. South Carolina went up to Nashville and really dominated that football game and dominated Diego Pavia. They won that one 28-7. And Bear, when you talk about this matchup, I know there's so much we can dive into and will dive into when it comes to the matchup on the field and the way these two teams stack up. But the streak alone to me is fascinating because here's where, when I look at this game, I say to myself, and you talk to Vandy folks and they'll echo this, Bear, South Carolina over this 16 years that they've won these consecutive games, it's not like the program's been at some peak, right? And they've just had a superior team every single year. South Carolina has gone through coaching changes. They've gone through teams that didn't make bowl games. They've gone through teams that were really good too now, right? 3 straight 11-win seasons. Like, you know, they've gone through teams that won big bowl games and competed for the SEC East or the SEC or whatever. But death taxes and the Gamecocks beating the Commodores, Bear, like every single year they have found a way. Now, if there's anything that can flip a streak, if there's one man who does not care about a streak, it is Diego Pavia. Because logic would have told you there's no way they should have beaten Alabama a season ago, right? Logic would have told you it wasn't possible. Well, Diego Pavia lives in the realm of the quote-unquote impossible. So, and he mentioned in the offseason that he's got this game circled. The theatrics of this football game, Bear, admittedly is something that really excites me because on one hand, you've got like, hey, South Carolina, it's just like no matter what, they own Vandy, they find a way to win. On the flip side, are streaks made to be broken, Bear? We're going to find out Saturday night.
Think about how long it took for Tennessee to get a win over Alabama. It literally happened in the second to last year of the Nick Saban era. I mean, it was a dominant one-sided series. It didn't matter what you did with the coaching changes. It didn't matter what you had with the offensive personnel, who was your offensive line, great defense. The third Saturday in October, there were cigars that had been sitting inside of Knoxville bedrooms for decades that were probably spoiled at this point, but people didn't care. The second that they saw that the goalpost came on down and was thrown into the Tennessee River, they load up those stogies because they knew it was something special. That might be the case. But as our good friend and loyal door supporter, Hack Squad Jim Duggan says all the time, Vanderbilt could be favored to win the Super Bowl, have a Heisman Trophy quarterback, and average 2,000 points per game, yet still find a way to lose South Carolina. That might be true, Jim. That very might. But did you ever think that we'd be entering a game when you have Lenore Sellers as your quarterback, an offseason that features a potent defense headlined by Dylan Stewart? Nick Harbor looks like that he has arrived. 3 aliens sitting in Columbia, South Carolina, practicing every single afternoon at Williams-Brice Stadium. And Vanderbilt is currently number 21 in points per game, averaging 44.5 yard points. They're number 20th in passing yards per game. They're number 22 in total yards per game at 485. They rank number 19 in passing yards per game. And they feel like that they're just getting warmed up because of who they have as their quarterback. Meanwhile, South Carolina has struggled offensively. They rank in the hundreds in most categories. The only one that they rank outside the top 100 is in points per game. They rank 78th in the country. They have been struggling to find that spark. But sometimes this is the moment where if you are a team that believes you can go on a run to the college football playoff, you dig deep down and you show out in front of your hometown crowd with the garnet and black cascading over Williams-Brice Stadium to understand what this matchup is. It has a lot of fireworks. It has a lot of personality, has a lot of people that have much on the line. This is why we talk about this game, because of a streak can be broken, a streak can be continued, but better yet, you have 2 quarterbacks that are going to have to show up and show out for their team if they want to walk away with the dub.
Yeah, we got a pair of dynamic quarterbacks in this one, Bear. I mean, like I said, sit back, buckle in, and see what crazy thing Lenore Sellers does this week. And I could say the same thing about Diego Pavia. I mean, the guy's imperfect, but he's just the ultimate warrior. He's a leader. He's going to bring a mentality into this football game where Vanderbilt's they're coming in and expecting to win. Streak be damned. It ain't got nothing to do with them, right? But it's interesting, Bear, because I talked to you about this yesterday, I think, and I kind of – it makes me chuckle a little bit about how reactionary we are on a week-to-week basis. And I get it. Like, I'm guilty of it as well. We just can't help it. We're creatures of the moment, right, when it comes to evaluating these teams. So after week 1, yeah, the offense struggled, but you felt pretty good about South Carolina. Like, hey, they're just finding ways to win again. It's just picking up where they left off last year. It's interesting, Barry, after this South Carolina State game, the stock on them has all of a sudden, it feels like it's plummeted. Like, people are just completely down and out on this team. And I get it, Bear, because as we look at the matchups on the field, I think the most disheartening thing for Gamecock fans is it's not just that the offense is stagnant right now. Why is the offense stagnant? The offensive line's getting pushed around again. And you and I talked about this. Listen, South Carolina has 3 Megatrons on their football team. They have 3 what is it? Not Decepticons. Is it what is the word I'm looking for?
Autobots?
Autobots. Yes, thank you. I was thinking like bigger, not so specific. You know what I'm trying to say. They got 3 monsters on their football team: Lenora Sellers, Nick Harbor, and Dylan Stewart. Sticking with the offensive side, you and I have talked. I don't care who you have. If you can't win at the point of attack, it's going to throw off everything else you have going on. Now, let's see, because I'm sure the offensive line for South Carolina is sick and tired of hearing about it. They've heard about it every year for every year that I can remember, to be honest with you. Heck, I saw a tweet this morning from Azul Faison with the silence emoji. He's putting his hand over his mouth, the silence emoji. Like, I'm sure they're sick and tired of hearing about it, but you got to go do it. You got to go do it. You're getting pushed around by South Carolina State. Heck, I'm seeing people talking about on social media, man, Lenora Sellers really needs to come back next year because he ain't ready. So it's like, it's interesting how quickly the tune can change on the Gamecocks, or anybody for that matter, because of a bad week you have, especially against inferior competition. Line of scrimmage play in this game is so massive. It's huge in every game, Bear. But, I mean, look at what Vandy just did to Va Tech.
Yeah.
You talked about them. What do they have, 6 sacks in that game?
6 sacks.
Yeah, 6 sacks against Kyron Drones, which South Carolina very familiar with Kyron Drones. Like, Drones isn't a great player, but it's the fact of the matter, they were able to get after him. And to the offensive side, they rushed for over 250 yards. So, like, buddy, you better bring your hard hat, because if you don't, Vandy's going to come in and whip you up front, and you're going to be looking up. You're going to be down a couple scores, and you're going to be and if you think things are bad right now from the standpoint of, like, man, like, you know, we're really concerned about where we are and the energy's not great. Hey, you're 2-0. I'll tell you this, Bear, and I know I'm kind of rambling here, but the point needs to be made, because obviously I know this fan base pretty well. South Carolina fans can tolerate a lot of things. A lot of things. They have been put through the ringer over the years. Bear, losing to Vandy's not one of them. And I am curious what the atmosphere is going to be like Saturday night, because it's a night game at Willie B. I'm sure they'll show up and show out. But I don't think this fan base is accustomed to having to show up and show out for the Vanderbilt Commodores. So I wonder, do you look at it as, hey, what a great opportunity. Nameless, faceless opponent at night at Willie B. Hell yeah. Or is it more of a, oh, shit. Like almost a disgruntled, like, why do we have to put on for Vandy? We should just be able to beat Vandy, because there's a level of respect that I know that not only the Gamecocks, but others in the SEC still don't want to give this program out here in Nashville. So, fascinating game. I know I just hit a bunch of points, Bear, but the bottom line is this. If South Carolina doesn't get their act together in the line of scrimmage, they will get beat in this game.
You can't just rely on a Bakari Swain punt return for a touchdown like you had the first 2 games, where he has 21 of your points. You can't. And don't get me wrong, Beamer ball is great, and it is a major staple of what we've seen for South Carolina. It's a major staple of what we know about this program and the way that they can win those small little battles that end up being massive gains. I get that. But when you have an offense that you said all offseason, you were very confident in the wide receiver room. You were confident in Nick Harbor taking that next step forward. You were confident in Mazio Bennett. You had some young players like Donovan Murph that was going to be a really good addition to your team. You went out, you kept Van Jacobs. You got a good tight end in Brady Hunt. You have Michael Smith. You have Maurice Brown. You have Brian Rowe. You have Lex Cyrus. You have Jaden Sellers. And you don't go out in the portal and bring in a veteran dude. That's fine. But then you better show up in the games that you have to, and they haven't so far. Nick Harbor should have 3 touchdown receptions, if we're being completely honest. He doesn't. He has 1 touchdown reception, even though the other one should have counted against Virginia Tech. They had countless plays winning over the top, And it just felt like Lenore Sellers was rushing through his throws and he wasn't able to connect with the South Carolina State. You have to be better at that. And also, if you are Mike Shula, you've got to know your offensive understandings in this game. If you are giving up if you've given up 6 sacks already to South Carolina State and Virginia Tech, 3 in each game, and you are currently giving up the most sacks and the most pressures in the SEC, you've got to change up your offensive game plan. And that means that if you got to get a lot of short passes, a lot of dink and dunks, trust the rushing attack to kind of set you up for a third and whatever you want to do in a short yardage situation, that's fine. But you as a play caller have got to make Lenore Sellers more comfortable because this is a physical defensive line for Vanderbilt. They are winning their one-on-one battles. The linebackers are not persuading or floating out of assignment. The secondary is making plays on the football. They're winning in press man coverage. So there's a lot of things that you look at that we can praise Vanderbilt for because they've shown up and they've done the little things right. But for me, this is a moment where if you are South Carolina, what are you made of? Because of all we did all offseason is hype you up to be this team that could go on a run at the college football playoff. And you very well could. Because if you just have difference makers at critical positions, you need a star wide receiver, you got a star wide receiver. You need a freak of a pass rusher that's only going to get better with time. You have that in Dylan Stewart. You got a quarterback that can win you the Heisman Trophy and keep you in every game. 16 did that last season. Guess what? He can do that again this season. But at some point, we can't be talking about it. You got to show up and show out for this one. And if you don't do it for you, do it for the fans that decided to sit in the rain for 2.5 hours just to watch a Vakari Swain punt return for a touchdown. Shane Beamer said it as advertised. This program, this fan base is 99.9%. We are a 0.1% unique fan base. 99.9% of other fan bases would just walk away from the situation. You wouldn't. So show up for them. For all the times that they have gone to your back and been there for you and have been loyal to a team, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the way that things go, and have gotten frustrated with knowing that last season they had an opportunity to be in the playoff. Do it for them. Do it for anybody else but other than just yourself. Because if this is a game where if you are an offensive game plan, you've got to be able to show on out. And you have to show that the mistakes and the kinks that you have been kind of going through those first 2 games, you leave them in the past. You got to get ready for Missouri coming up. You got to get ready for a matchup against Oklahoma. You got to get ready for the Alabama game. It starts off by setting the tone against Vanderbilt. Like, honestly, don't even worry about those games. Because if you can't set the tone against Vanderbilt, you may not be able to set the tone against anybody.
Couple key points you made, Bear, that I want to piggyback off of. For the second straight day on a preview prediction video, if you will, here at SEC Unfiltered, the key number is 17. Why is the key number 17, Bear? Because in 3 games for Mike Shula, the Gamecocks offensively have scored 17 points against Illinois, 17 points against Virginia Tech, and 17 points against South Carolina State. They have not scored more than 17 offensive points in any of his 3 games as the offense coordinator. Bear, I don't think 17 offensive points is going to beat Vandy because, like you said, and I'm sure I'll get backlash on this, special teams is great. It's a weapon. It's great to have. But if you're having to use it weekly to win games, it feels a little fluky because there's going to come a game. Somebody's not going to let you beat them on special teams. They're just not going to do it. Like, you're going to have to go out and win the football game conventionally. And Bear with me, no pun intended, it's not the first time I've seen this at South Carolina. There have been other Shane Beamer teams that, use the magic of special teams to win games, but there's always that concern in the back of your mind, like, man, what if we don't get a punt return for a touchdown this game? Can we still go out and win? I think that's the big question. The other thing I'll say is this too, Bear, and it's still very early. They could go out, completely change the narrative on Saturday, but some of the concerns you're seeing offensively, hate to say it, it's why I picked 7-5 in the preseason. So, it wasn't just this unfounded thing. They've got real problems on the offensive line, real problems running the football. Again, it's got to get fixed. We'll see if Vandy's the team to get right against. Again, night game atmosphere, Bear, at Williams-Brice Stadium. I do think that's a factor in this game. Should be a really, really fun environment. You would think so. But here comes Baba Yaga, man. Diego Pavi and the boys looking to snap that streak. I am just – this game is going to be a ton of fun. And you mentioned, and people will take it a little more seriously on the South Carolina side, but you better start taking Vandy seriously. If Vandy wins this game, Bear, let's just play the hypothetical game, be sitting at 3-0 with games against Georgia State and Utah State coming up. Bear, you're going to be 5-0 heading into Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
And we all know what happened last year. So, yeah, listen, I mean, let your dreams and aspirations run wild if you win this one in the college ball playoff. Bear, that being said, let's just get right to it. Let's go ahead and lock in some picks. Let's lock in some predictions. Would you like the honors? You want me to start first on this one?
I'll go first on this one. Look, it's Baba Yaga. I told you last week. The man is John Wick. He marches into a place and he doesn't take victims. And he doesn't take criticism. And he just goes ahead and does his job and gets in and gets out. That's who he is. I have been very impressed with what we have seen so far from this offensive personnel for Vanderbilt. Maitland Young coming on in from New Mexico State. Phenomenal game against Virginia Tech. Brian Coleman was awesome with this big 54-yard catch. It's a player that Diego Pavia's talked about all offseason. Trey Richardson coming on in from Mississippi State had such a big-time grab earlier this past week. My bad, not Mississippi State. I'm blanking on where he came from. But still, 8 catches, 128 yards. He has been such a good find. And then you throw in Eli Stowers and what he is as an offensive personnel. You throw in the Diego Pavia running metrics. This is a game that, again, he will single-handedly yield his way to finding a shot to get into the end zone and win this football game. He will. That being said, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I am. I think South Carolina wins this game. And the reason why has nothing to do with the on-field play of Lenore Sellers. It has nothing to do with the execution of Mike Shula and the differences and the X and O's of this game. This has everything to do with that environment that I will call the ultimate cathedral of chaos. It is Williams-Brice Stadium on a Saturday night. When you enter that vicinity and you close your eyes and you're standing on the field and you are listening to the swarm of 60,000 War Chicken faithful cascading in the garnet and black, bellowing out Gamecocks as Sandstorm echoes into the night sky and they're waving the rally towels, you can't convince me that you're not at Neyland Stadium. You can't convince me that you're not in Death Valley. You can't convince me that you're not in Jordan-Hare. Bigger stadiums, massive venues, places that we talk about in such a heralded light. But we don't talk about that exact same way when it comes to Willie B. Because it's a smaller stadium. It doesn't carry the same vicinity, but it carries that echoing boom. And it alters the game. And we know how atmospheres and cultures and places of this can certainly dictate the overall outlook of what happens on a Saturday afternoon. And I think that does enough to rattle Baba Yaga. I think it does enough to rattle Vanderbilt. I think that you do see some growth in this offense. And this is a moment where, again, you got to have it if you're Lenore Sellers. You got to be the dude that everyone envisioned. And it's okay to play Superman every once in a while. And who cares if it's against Vandy? It's about setting the tone before you face off against more quality competition in the SEC. And they need you now more than they've ever needed you. You do it for Sandstorm. You do it for the Garnet and Black. You do it for Willie B. You do it for Shane Beamer. You do it for those War Chickens out there that have given you all the respect that you deserve. And you show up and you show out and you continue the tradition of finding a way to beat Vanderbilt. Final score. I got 24-21. Low scoring affair. One costly mistake by Vanderbilt. One magical gotta have a drive by Lenore Sellers is the difference maker in this matchup. Hammer the under, but give me the War Chickens to stay undefeated as they get ready to go travel to the other Como across the country.
Bear, what's so fascinating about this game, there's two different ways to look at it. Number one, South Carolina, death, taxes, and beating the Commodores, they're just going to do it again. They're going to find a way. The other way you could look at it, again, streaks are made to be broken, and maybe this is the perfect setting. This is the perfect scenario with a year 2 Diego Pavia with, despite the going up against the odds of going to Columbia, South Carolina at night, maybe it's the stage is set, right? Again, admittedly, I've been in that stadium a lot. I've seen South Carolina fall flat on their face in a home night game. I have. People don't realize that happens, but I've seen it firsthand. Like, I can assure you it has happened before. That being said, when that place is rocking and that place gets going, if they jump out to an early lead or they get an early stop, the towels will be waving, Sandstorm will be rocking. It's one of the best environments in all of college football. It should be on your college football bucket list if you have never been. Absolutely. South Carolina has got has got to get it figured out up front. I mean, if they don't, man, they will lose this football game. I don't think you are going to go out. Vandy's a good team. I know we love to kid around and joke and talk about how cute Vanderbilt is. That's a good football team playing with an edge and a ton of confidence. And we love to give Diego Pavia all the credit. Bear, let's give Clark Lee the credit. Like, it starts with Clark Lee going out there and saying things like, we believe Vanderbilt can be the best program in all of college football. Like, that's our goal. That's our aspiration. And I know people love to give him crap and Pavia crap, but they have a delusional level of belief of what Vandy can be. They're not stuck in what Vandy's always been. They have a belief of what it can be. And hey, guess what, Bear? You probably need a delusional level of belief to believe you can go into Williams-Brice Stadium and go win there for the first time since 2007. Beat the Gamecocks for the first time since 2008. You need a delusional level of belief. I think they will have it. I think they will come into Willie B expecting to win the football game. I really do. I think they'll come in as confident as any Vanderbilt team has in the last 20 years. And Bear, I could argue this is their best shot to win, even with it being in Columbia, since 2008. Here's the issue, though.
Yep.
I've seen it time and time again. It doesn't matter if South Carolina is a 24-point favorite, a 4-point favorite. I don't know that they've even been an underdog over the last 16 years, but it doesn't matter what the scenario is. Through coaching changes, through double-digit win seasons, through seasons where you didn't make a bowl game, through you name the quarterback, you name the coordinator. It's just, it doesn't matter. South Carolina, for whatever reason, they just have Vandy's number, man. And it's one of those things. Until it happens, and it may happen this Saturday night, but until it happens, it's so hard for me to put myself out there and take the Vanderbilt Commodores to finally snap the streak and pull the upset. If this game were in Nashville, Bear, boy, oh boy, I might be singing a different tune. And it hurts me to doubt the Lot 2 boys again. It hurts me to doubt the Doors. I doubted them last week and looked like a fool. But I think this is a different test. I think this is a different challenge. And who knows, Bear? Maybe we are talking about Vandy winning 44-20 again. And boy, we are really eating some crow on Sunday. But again, I've just seen it year after year after year after year. This South Carolina program has been the definition of inconsistency over the years. But one consistent, Bear, one has remained intact. South Carolina beats Vanderbilt, and they will beat Vanderbilt again. I can't even really tell you how it happens because it's probably going to be sloppy. It's probably going to be ugly. Is there going to be special teams involved? Probably so at this point. I don't even think South Carolina is going to look great offensively because I think they probably kind of are who they are on offense. It'll be fun to watch both these quarterbacks duke it out. South Carolina will do what they always do against Vanderbilt, Bear. The bottom line is this. They will find a way to win. That's the bottom line. End of discussion. However you think that picture's painted, here's the reality. It's a math class, not an art class. And the math says, in my mind, that South Carolina will end that game with the most important statistic intact, the one that says they have more points on the scoreboard than the opponent. Give me the Gamecocks 23, Vandy 17, Bear. I think it comes down, it's a late fourth quarter game. Again, I'm not even remotely sure how it happens, but just like the 16 years prior, I just think South Carolina, they've got Vanderbilt's number. If there's anybody that could break the streak, you and I both agree, it's Baba Yaga. And if Vandy doesn't win this one, hell, I don't know how many years it might be until they beat the Gamecocks. I mean, it's I don't care where the game's being played. Great chance for them. But until I see it, I got to go South Carolina, death taxes, and the Gamecocks beating the Vanderbilt Commodores on the football field.
If somehow, some way we
are going to get put on a diss tape. There's no
I have accepted it, and I've already proven my worth before when I'm wrong by chugging apple cider vinegar.
Please don't put that on the line.
I will.
I don't want to watch that.
I will eat a ghost pepper chili on Sunday Funday
Okay,
if
that's
somehow Baba Yaga finds a way to get this win and end the streak.
No take-backs.
Nope. I'm
You
a
heard it,
man of my word.
A lot on the line, Diego. Guys,
Listen, if Baba Yaga is going to kill South Carolina, he's going to kill me too. So give me the ghost pepper.
Dude, again, lot 2 is really not going to allow me to the tailgate if they prove us wrong. Either way, though, we're both going South Carolina. Guys, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Who comes out on top Saturday night in Columbia when the Gamecocks and the Commodores do battle? Guys, that's going to do all for us before we get out of here. Do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, because as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is getting you ready for the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. If you win, that's right, pick a bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel's got you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Guys, once again, we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast. If you get your podcast, you can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Cole the Bear Thompson, I'm Chris Phillips. Thank you all so much. We appreciate y'all taking the time, and we will talk to you all on the other side.